Brazil. Brazil's #1 seed. China's #2. Let's go. From the CFBL, it's Imperial! Two wins already now. LKK, Fefe, Gokun, Adrian, and Rusal look for another. Imperial! And now it's Chengdu All Gamers! Even, ZY, ZQ, Du, Jue, the legends, Chengdu All Gamers! Two unstoppable teams. Who will come out on top? They are about to compete to conquer!
Thank you, Matt Andrews, for going ahead and introducing our two teams to the stage and setting the stage for what is going to be, or should be, a fun matchup. I was kind of laughing when you said before, like, this should go to 3 maps, because I feel like we've said that literally, like, every single series today. But this time, for real. Like, this time, nah. You don't think so? Oh, I know you're big on the all gamers hype train.
That's right.
Coming into today, did we think that this was the most likely to go to 3 maps?
I think it depends on what the maps actually are. I feel like the big sticking point in my mind is, will all gamers ban out sub-base? Because I feel like that's a big win condition here for Imperial to take this series. If they get sub-base as the starting map, maybe they build some momentum. They could potentially take this one, I think, in a 2-1 win. But if that's an immediate ban from all gamers, I think this becomes a much harder series to win.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you would have looked, like, sort of given me a list of all of the matches from the group stage and said which one's going to go to 3, I don't know that I would have probably chosen this one out of the entire pack. I think there's a few sort of miscellaneous ones in there. Like, actually, Pacific Mark Takara House, I probably felt like could have gone to 3 maps, for example, which didn't either. I am taking a look back at the result that they had when they played against each other in the Summer Championship in Vietnam. And if you remember, that was the first game of the tournament. And we were kind of having the same conversation, Kyle, about Subbase. We were saying, is Subbase going to come through in this series? It didn't there. It was Black Widow, the choice actually of Imperial, and then Ankara for All Gamers, 10-7, 10-6. ZY, the standout on both of those maps for All Gamers, and that's kind of where I'm like basing a lot of my predictions off of. I sort of think that that is where we might be ending up heading. ZY seems to have kind of found his feet here in the CFS 2023 Grand Final, so I expect him to be a big factor in this one. Will the map pool change up all that much? I don't know that there's much of an incentive really for All Gamers to allow Subbase to go through here. It's not exactly a map that they, you know, really want to go to necessarily. Like, remember, they also sort of struggled on that map against Baisha a fair bit. They've already lost it against LCK in this event, so I could definitely see a sub-base getting banned out. It just sort of feels like 2 birds with 1 stone. Take out your map that's been a bit shaky, take out their best map. What's not to love?
Yeah, I think the scary thing as well about a lot of the top Chinese teams is that they're so good on pretty much every map. They don't really have a big weakness, but this is slowly becoming one of their weaknesses, so it's like, why not, right?
Well,
like,
Compound would be the other sort of question mark there for All Gamers, because that's the one that they like to ban away, given that that is like Baisha's best map. So if you leave that open, it's like, well, maybe Imperial angles towards a Compound, but I've never really seen Imperial as a super heavy Compound team either. So I think it's kind of worth the risk. It's worth the gamble, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm Imperial in this series, I mean, wow, they're getting loud behind us. So,
Speak of them.
You can tell they want to hype things up and get that confidence at an all-time high. But yeah, when you're looking at the maps that could be played here, it wouldn't surprise me if we see kind of a mirrored ban and pick of what we saw in Vietnam. I feel like there hasn't been enough dynamic changes in either one of these teams since then to really warrant anything different. The only thing that could change, I think, would be on the Imperial side, is maybe their pick could change if they want something they feel a little bit better about, or maybe they've prepared a little bit differently coming into this event compared to that.
Do you think they try to pick an Ankara against this team? Maybe you try to avoid it. What about like Eagle Eye?
Eagle Eye would be maybe
go with
a
Eagle
stronger
Eye instead
pick for them than Ankara, but I feel like Eagle Eye for Imperial is a pretty hefty ban as well, so it's not something I would say they're ultimately prepared to tackle. I feel like for them, maybe the dream case scenario would be maybe a Mexico and sub-base to win a series. I feel like those are the two maps that I'd give them the benefit of the doubt on. The rest, though, I feel like either way are leaning into all gamers' perspective.
Imperial, I mean, we all know this, right? It doesn't go against your point, but they did drop that map to Kangarna.
Yeah.
Did they have a series after that where they banned Mexico as well?
They did, yeah. That was against LCK that they banned Mexico. I don't know that. I don't think that they're going to get both of those maps.
Yeah.
I would be pretty surprised even to see them picking into Mexico. It might be all gamers that picks into Mexico.
It changes when they are going up against all gamers as well, so maybe they have different consideration up against this team.
The thing is, and we can get into it now, obviously, because it seems like we're ready to go on the stage with the picks and bans. It just feels like a really difficult pick and ban phase to negotiate for Imperial to try to find an advantageous situation, because end of the day, all gamers probably take out sub base here, and then you're like, well, what do we pick? We're not too bad on Ankara, but that's like all gamers' best map, and there's straight away the ban from all gamers. Like, they're not even thinking about it, they're not even worrying about it. They know off the outset that sub base is gone. Like, do you leave Ankara because you're pretty good on it, but then obviously all gamers is almost guaranteed to pick it if you leave it in the pool?
It's rough.
And then what's your choice? Like, is it really going to be Mexico? Evidently not, as the ban. So, I mean, unfortunately, Kyle, right, those two maps that we sort of said maybe you could make an argument for them, straight up banned out. So what's the next territory that you lean into here as Imperial? Like,
I feel like they have to pin. It has to be Black Widow in my eyes, I would say, at this point. Well, it's probably their best bet. But Eagle Eye, that's an interesting one, I would say, from all gamers. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a strong map either for Imperial. In fact, before this Mexico ban, Eagle Eye was kind of a go-to ban a lot of the time for Imperial, so I think this actually plays pretty well for all gamers to bring this out now.
Yeah, and Imperial chose Global Risk to start off on Eagle Eye. So,
bold.
Pretty interesting start. I mean, I like the choice from all gamers. Like I said before, I feel like they can pretty much play any map. They're probably not feeling the sub base nowadays. Black Widow is going to be the choice here from Imperial. So yeah, they're gonna send it on Eagle Eye for all gamers, and then Imperial choose Black Widow. They do not want to go to Ankara for the second map.
Well, surely all gamers banning out Compound here and leaving the choice to Port or Ankara, preferring to play Ankara.
Yeah, I feel like it's really likely we see Port come up as the final map. I think it's probably the best one Imperial could leave in there. All gamers, though, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me to see them maybe leave something different in the pool here. Maybe even a Compound stays in, because they know, yeah, you would ban it against Baisha in this situation, but Imperial hasn't shown us anything in the past that's really overwhelmingly positive on a Compound. So I actually think the Compound could be better for all gamers than the Port.
I think minus Port and then leave Compound Ankara, but it ends up being Compound. So I guess that's like probably the... Like, that's the safe pick, necessary. Not, you know, they don't really like Compound. Just get rid of it. Don't try to play the mind game.
I thought maybe they'd be like, well, we've played Baisha so many times on this map. They're like, maybe we're good at it now. Let's leave it up.
You'd be mind gaming if you left it in.
I think it was not a bad idea. They're going to leave Ankara available as Port gets banned away. Imperial don't want to play on that map, so Ankara for our third map in the pool.
Well, I have to say, I think that is a pretty rough pool of maps for Imperial. Kind of ties into the conversation we were having. We were saying, look, Black Widow, Ankara, probably quite likely. And again, that was the pool between them the last time they played, which was 10-7, 10-6, respectively. And then you throw in an Eagle Eye as well, which we haven't really seen anything too fantastic from Imperial on. I feel like they played it against Vasco in Vietnam. I'm having a quick look back here. Oh, he was even banned out in that series. So, Eagle Eye against Baisha for Imperial. 10-3 loss.
Yeah. I don't think they really wanted to play on this map, but maybe they just lost all confidence on Mexico and they're not willing to send it again. And they just say, well, we got to get rid of that one, because that's even worse than our Eagle Eye at this point. I don't really see any other reason to switch up the ban in that big of a manner with double back-to-back Mexico bans in a couple of series.
Yeah, I think the tough part about this ban and pick result now is you almost go into it as Imperial knowing you have to win the last 2 out of the 3 in this series as kind of your main win condition in this series. Yeah, maybe they could win Eagle Eye, but I'd say it's probably the least likely actually out of these 3 maps to go their way, especially when we look at how All Gamers played this map against LCK. They were relentless on the BL side, and they get a start on that side here as well. I'm actually kind of surprised that Imperial thinks GR is the go-to play on this map. Continuously, it is BL-sided, so it's a bold strategy for them to pick that.
Maybe just front-loading the pain and trying to sort of run it back, right? Like reverse sweep. But yeah, we know Eagle Eye is going to be hard. Let's start on the more difficult map. You know, maybe we can pull off a miracle. If not, the map's probably over pretty quick, and then we focus on Black Widow and Ankara. But I mean, they're backed into a corner, I feel like, Imperial, with the map pool being the way that it is between these two teams. It just feels like stylistically quite a tough matchup in terms of the maps that both teams do prefer to play. And I think even relying on coming back on Black Widow and Ankara is going to be a really tough ask for Imperial. Like, you're just doing yourself no favors against an already really good team. So I said earlier, I think it's probably a 2-0 for All Gamers. After seeing the maps play out, I think I'll probably lean that way still.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You can see the win rate on Blacklist, 65%. I think that's even higher than Mexico Global Risk.
Yep.
So we talk so much about, like, hey, Mexico, it's 7-2, it's all right, you know. Eagle Eye is a beast as well when it does come to this kind of lopsidedness. So I don't know if it's front-loading the pain or they just feel more comfortable on GR in general. I don't even know if that's necessarily true. Maybe Gokun specifically is like, hey, I like playing the A site on GR on this map, and that's it. That could be, maybe that's the only reason.
Maybe.
At this point, you know, in terms of general Crossfire strategy, they have gone beyond.
I think the only other maybe methodology I could see behind it is All Gamers do have a tendency to start off series on a weaker foot usually and then gradually kind of ease into it. So maybe their thought is if we give them what should be the better side first, they're not feeling necessarily warm yet, we might be able to take advantage of them not playing maybe as well in that opening half.
What does that say for Black Widow and Ankara though, like as the last 2 maps in the pool? Because even if Imperial somehow makes an upset happen on Eagle Eye, and All Gamers decide that they want to wake up, right? Like similar to what we saw from them against LCK. Man, it's just such a tough ask here for Imperial. But hey, we're just here to talk about it. Maybe there's something still to be said for Imperial, and it's up to them to really show us what they've got on this pool. They have made their cake. Now it's time to eat it. Hopefully it tastes good. I think All Gamers might steal most of the cake, but we'll see. It's going to be Eagle Eye to kick off the series between All Gamers and Imperial.
Eagle Eye we just saw in the last series ended up being a very one-sided affair. X-Rock over Vincent Gaming, a Chinese team over a Brazilian team. Will we see the same here? As Imperial are just sprinting at them, and that's going to be a very early kill here from Ruzao, but they're handling the pressure very, very well. Nice wraparound here from Fefe and Ruzao, though, to pick up a couple.
C4's on A already. I don't think ZY actually wants to plant it. He's a little bit scared that there's maybe still someone hanging around. If he would have planted it, though, man, what a great plan that would actually end up being. ZQ still sort of in the back lines, keeping Imperial busy. But he's not bold enough to get onto the site. I like it from Imperial, though. They kind of throw the kitchen sink at All Gamers, which is generally what All Gamers likes to do in the first round against their opponents. So play their own strategy against them. CFS been spotted out there by ZY, though he'll actually come off a little better for that setup. And now getting cleared out by ZQ. Should be a trade in there, but ZY will catch Ryu's out as well. Though Goken, the clutch minister here for Imperial, just doesn't quite find the timing. They sneak into A. I think he might still be good for one here before the plant goes down. It's not going to be onto the bomb carrier yet, though.
So close to being on time.
Yeah, just needed to peek the corner even further because he could have found ZQ out in no man's land, but instead focusing on the player in the tower and now has to convert a 2-on-1. One benefit, though, is I don't think they'll expect Goken from this angle, though ZQ might just jump spot it. Oh, and shoulder piece it in the end. So, Goken in the 1v2. Can he step up?
Such a tough ask here, and I think he still thinks the other player is holding this long window, but he's not going to be. ZQ gets the headshot, and All Gamers, they steal away that round. I mean, Imperial, they have the 3-on-2, and they still can't close it out.
It was definitely a wonky one. I think that Imperial are... I think it's okay if you're trying to send it really early and make these kind of weird situations that most teams won't be used to as often as kind of your standard straight-up crossfire play. I think that's good to do, especially up against a team that you consider to be a really strong and potentially better team than yourself. Unfortunately, though, we can see the end result is that even in the crazy situation, All Gamers were totally fine. They were able to attack back into mid at the exact right time together, double peeking both of them. And yeah, just eventually picking up the round, leaving Goken alone. And from here on out, you see Imperial not going to rush up the middle this time. Probably not a good idea to do that back-to-back.
They haven't found anything just yet, though, on the side of All Gamers. You can see a large grouping here towards B long, but there's no commitment at all. All Gamers are waiting, expecting an aggressive play to come their way, but Imperial have changed it quite a bit here in the second round already. They've got a 3-point stack on this B bridge positioning. All Gamers about to kind of ease into this fight, but we've got to be careful. Feifei on the back line, just kind of pre-firing down long, trying to bait them in here, but really the pressure of this round's onto Adrian.
Shui is going to be looking for those entry frags, and it looks like pretty good spacing here for All Gamers. Flash will be tossed in. Should be only good for one at best, but not even that going to be achieved. It's ZY and Shui combining for the entry, and then even on the outskirts as well gets another one. Very bad news for Imperial. B site looking much weaker, even though there are still two defenders over there.
Yeah, Adrian has been so clutch for this team in the last couple of series, but it's a whole new beast with Chengdu. All Gamers. Perfect flash into the room and immediately spotted. You're trying to put your head down, not much you can do when you're alone. And All Gamers, they're not going to force it. There's only 20 seconds left pretty much, so I guess they're just going to try to rotate over to A. Let's see if they've got enough time here as Goken is on the back of that site. Sends word to the team. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on to this, though. He does get the one. Has 9 seconds, picks up 2. Looking for a third, can't get the flick. They got to get this bomb down. And they don't have it. It was actually killed from behind. And that is going to be the end of that. No chance at a plant if you don't have the bomb.
What has happened there, All Gamers? Like, they've tried again. I've seen this a few times from them. They've tried to get a little bit too tricky for their own good, and they just overcomplicate the round. Like, you found 2 entries on B. I mean, what's the chances there's going to be 3 players still there, right? In a worst case, you're a 5-on-2 probably entering the site. You should be backing yourselves to just get in there and trade it down. But make the call to go over to A, and not a fan of it, but Imperial pick up a cheeky one, and now they can get their momentum rolling. But unfortunately, Shui will start things pretty nicely again for All Gamers, 1-for-1. ZQ just bunny hopping his way up. Will catch Feifei in the side. K's been booked by ZY. What a shot. That's why we talk about him as maybe one of the best riflers in the world. Takes even a little bit longer onto Ryu Zhao, but he'll get the job done in the end. And it's a bit more like it for All Gamers, right? Nothing too nuanced about it. Just charging around the map, taking duels and winning them because they are the better team. There's no doubt about that. They've just got to back themselves.
Yeah, now Goken, he's going to have to do something quickly. He's kind of running out of time already going for this full wraparound play. You can see Do already holding the off angle on his positioning. He's just going to stall the clock, though, gets the repeat. And All Gamers, it's a pretty clean 2-1 lead to start things off. And now it's going to be up to Imperial to show us what more they have to offer on this GR side start. I really like their first round play, but kind of since then it's been All Gamers just consistently bullying them over towards this B side of the map.
Yeah, you can see there wasn't a lot of coverage over there in Hotel, just getting free pot shots. Even ZQ bunny hopping through the road just to get behind Fefe. Like, a lot of free kills in that one just because of the movement of AG. Speaking of which, they're in onto the A site. Immediately, Du is going to pick up that first kill. Gokun struggling to deal with the pressure, just being hounded by 2 people on top of the site. And immediately, this is getting planted even before the 2-minute mark.
I like it when AG plays fast. They look so decisive in those rounds, don't they? When they slowed down, that was actually where things kind of fell apart for them. This realistically should be a 4-0 after this round, but it's going to end up being a 3-1. Ryuzao will be spotted out on top of the tower. A little bit of a J.O. getting thrown in there by the
one, you know?
AG players.
They know they're kind of controlling this so far, and
yeah.
I wonder their thoughts as well. Like, if they eventually do win this in the interview, I would love to hear what they think about Imperial just kind of conceding, not conceding, but like ceding over the Blacklist side here first on on AG's map pick. Just to get the pro gamers' thoughts on the maneuver, the strategic call.
CY leading the charge with C4 in hand. It signals it's going to be another fast one here from All Gamers. It's been working out for them, though. This time it seems Imperial are a little more prepared. Ryuzao and Gokun good for 1 apiece. Gokun eventually does get traded down after his second frag, but still for All Gamers, things have stalled up a little bit.
ZQ's got to move into position now. They don't have the C4 in their control as well. But really, it's going to come down to, are they going to check Adrian's position here on the back of site? No, they are not. He drops the bomb carrier. Du now left alone, 1 versus 3. It's not going to matter. He's taken down very quickly. Imperial, it's a solid response there. They're starting to get a little bit more comfortable handling that fast, aggressive playstyle.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think Imperial should probably just be aiming for 3 rounds in this half. It's about a 66% win rate on Blacklist side, so even though it doesn't look fantastic off the outset, it does feel like All Gamers have been kind of dominating this. There's still some rounds going over to Imperial that they can take heart in. And it is always a tale of 2 sides.
Yeah, I think at this point, Imperial should be happy with a couple of the rounds they have gotten, especially that one where the C4's dropped and they're trying to push with 15 seconds. It's like, okay, well, you know, we were able to stop this kind of funky play. We were able to win pretty much a straight-up round there. And All Gamers kind of sending it pretty hard through mid, and they got kind of caught out, but still, it's a good round to take. And now they're reading this play in onto B. CQ going to take a bit of damage. And they can't quite commit onto the B side if already 3 people are looking at this one entryway.
Yeah, I feel like All Gamers here, they're trying to bait out this pick on the B bridge, hoping that someone's going to come back for it, but it's actually a pretty passive setup here for Imperial. They're not wanting to take these fights. They really want this full push onto the B bomb side to come through, but I feel like All Gamers, with the way they're playing here, these players aren't necessarily fully prepared to trade each other effectively in these positions. So Imperial, even though they have the numbers stack here, there's not the best support system in place. CY finds the opening fairly untraded, and look at this, they're following suit 1 at a time, and they're just falling behind it. Adrian only going to be good for 1, 2 on 4 now for Ryuzao and Gokun, he's just nowhere to be found in this fight. He's just trying to support it from the mid tower.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I do often wonder sometimes if Gokun is kind of keeping himself in reserve a little bit too much sometimes for Imperial. How often do you find him as the last player alive? Look, sure, that's kind of your role, right? You're the sniper. You don't want to be giving up your position early. You also are quite a clutch player, but I think you find yourself in a 4v1 or a 3v1 like 4 or 5 times in a map. Maybe you need to get involved in those rounds a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was especially notable in that round where they took mid-control. You have a 3-on-2, and Gokun isn't anywhere to be seen in that 2v2 exchange where they ended up ultimately losing the round. Gokun's last alive in a 1-on-2 there. So this time, again, he's going to be going for that solo play, pushing into the middle of the map. There's nobody yet from All Gamers here. He does get the opening. There's no trade potential yet for All Gamers. He might just be able to fall out here. But what is that second shot? Beautifully done onto Do.
So what's the response going to be from All Gamers? Push into ADRF. He's a little bit isolated and has already been spotted out there, I think, by Zhui. A couple more players here to help out, and actually ZQ dropping down as well, pushing the off angle. It's going to make life even more difficult here for All Gamers.
Yeah, it's almost like Gokun took it to heart, and he's like, you know, I'm just going to send it earlier. That way, either I die, or I did it early before they got the push off, and I wasn't there for the push. Now, here comes Zhui. Nice little pick off. This is going to be very difficult for All Gamers to actually clutch this round out. It was 2v4, now it's 2v3, but take a look at their health bars, extremely low. CY and Zhui have been having some good rounds so far, but not going to be easy by any means. You see that Imperial are leaving the B side open for a potential retake, also pushing out of A long to see, you know, get in position if it does go down onto B anytime soon.
Yeah, this would be a painful one to lose, though, wouldn't it?
I almost feel like they're going to make the same mistake, though. Gokun isn't playing for the retake right away. He's just holding that B to A cross position. He has to be a little bit more assertive on this rotation back into site. They almost need him to be the first contact, to play that distractionary role so these other two players can come in and actually secure these trades behind him. You can see he is starting to group up now slowly for this mid push to hopefully distract, but they've already run the clock down to more than a half left. They've got to move even quicker now against Shui, who's going to already find this first pick, and now he just has to stall. But Ryuza, what is that shot to follow through with? They get it done just in time, and it's still only a one-round game.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, that's a big round for Imperial to take. They get the initial play from Gokun, a couple pickoffs, and then eventually are able to, as we take a look at the replay once again, the second shot is the big one to Do, who's not able to react on time, even when he knew that Gokun was there. And just like that, Gokun trying to make waves by himself, and he's keeping Imperial close.
Double arm setup from AG, something that we see from them reasonably often, a lot of the time actually on Ankara. ZY looking to see if he can find anything early in the round, doesn't get the advantage there, but Ryuzao working around the back lines. Imperial want to play aggressive again, and even is the one kind of just holding this flank at the moment, calling for the rotation back from his teammates, though. Wasn't expecting a player behind him. ADRF, Ryuzao, Gokun all chiming in, and all of a sudden the story starts to change. Imperial get their fourth on the global risk side, and if they can get even one more, then maybe there is going to be a spanner in the works for All Gamers after such a decisive start.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially on this map, 4 is kind of already enough here. I mean, this is not generally anywhere close to a GR-sided map, so they've definitely done their job already. If they can win the half on top of it, they're going to be feeling really good at their odds to take this map away from All Gamers, which is kind of surprising because the rounds have looked so scrappy to get there, but now Imperial, they've cranked it up a notch. It's a 3-kill going their way at the start of the round. Gokun just annihilating them from the upper A bomb site. Now Do is left alone. He does manage 1 kill, but that will be it. 3 rounds in a row. Imperial, they take back the half.
Imperial proving that this is in fact a GR-sided map. Not actually,
so.
But for them. And after all that time of them banning away this map and not getting to see them play on it all too often, we do get to see that 3 rounds in a row real quick. I do feel like AG kind of getting a little bit, I don't know, a little bit overconfident perhaps. Like some of these pushes are, they're like, okay, we're just going to run at you and kill you. But Gokun already proved he's going to cover that mid angle, and it was just kind of a flimsy push after a couple of guys went down.
Dugo's missing a little bit in that first half as well, but this will be the half where you kind of want to see him stepping up. GR side, we've already got the double orb set up from All Gamers. Again, ZY with the secondary sniper position.
It's a bit of a weird play, though, coming out from Imperial. They're very, very far back in the BL spawn here. They're hoping for a push. All Gamers not really giving it to them. Instead, playing 3 on the A bomb site. Nobody holding on to the middle of the map, though, and this could be a key area if Imperial is aware of this and starts to move for that late control onto mid. But this is honestly more reserved than I would have expected either team to play in this circumstance.
Yeah, especially considering both have been pretty aggressive so far in the map.
Still waiting for this push to come in. You can see, okay, Goken's going to get that headshot all the way onto the back of the guy in the hotel. Here comes ZQ now, wants to get a little bit of revenge, but nobody's going to just poke their head out and look for these one-offs, as Lucan with the quick headshot on the bridge as well. Now it's 5v3 in favor of Imperial in the lead already on this map, and they have the blacklist side now to play for the second half because of their choice of going for GR first.
Definitely seems like the right call, at least so far. You can see they're running out of time here on the side of Imperial, though, to get this bomb plant. They've got 30 seconds. Do finds the kill as well on to Adrian, and now they're forced to full rotate with only 20 seconds on the clock. And this is where things can get a little dicey if the bomb carrier goes down. He has to perfectly cross here, and it's the final player on this team with that bomb in hand as well. Feifei has to get moving, but it's Adrian and Lucum on these lurks, getting a lot of value. Now they can get the bomb down uncontested. It's a 4v1 in Imperial. They might just get their 4th straight round here.
I wonder if they're actually going to do it, right? It's kind of starting to feel like it's on the money for Imperial today, 6-4. Certainly likely, but I'm really talking about the map victory here for Imperial. You can notice that they're not really getting too loud after any of these rounds just yet. They know that this is still very much hanging in the balance. Don't want to get ahead of themselves.
Yeah, he's pretty good at this game, Goken.
Yeah, he's
2
having
kills.
a blinder.
2 kills. He has really stepped up to the plate. He was going for the solo plays early on, and they started to work. And now he's just gaining even more confidence. 13 kills in 10 rounds total, and now we're moving into the 11th round. They've really they're just slowing it all down now from the blacklist side. From the GR side, they were all guns a-blazing. They were coming out at them pretty strongly and getting in their face, but now they're just expecting AG to do the same, and they're trying to catch that pressure.
It's a good setup, though. I questioned it at first because it seems like it's a little bit too passive, but all gamers, they might start getting a little bit more anxious to play into this and poke around at it. You can see Jouet here thinking about taking this fight out of A long. ZY as well, trying to spot them over the top on this B bridge box, but it's really just a patience play here from Jouet. If he peeks into this, it's very unlikely they're going to be prepared for it, but if he goes down without much of a fight, it's basically a free pick handed over.
Here he goes. Feifei not quite watching, but Eddie RF there to help him out, and that's exactly what that setup is designed for, right? You're waiting for someone to get a little bit too overzealous, look for info, try to find a kill, be the hero. And this time it's Jouet. And the setup works perfectly for Imperial. Even a trade there is fine. As long as it's at worst a 1-for-1 for Imperial, it's going to start to split the map open. Now, the question is going to be, do they expect another push to come through from All Gamers? Because they are waiting patiently. But All Gamers are going to go again, and they're even getting a little bit deeper this time around. Feifei spots it out. LKK catches ZY on the other side of the map, though, so still numbers favorable there for Imperial. They pick up the pace. CQ surely gets checked at this point. Hasn't, actually, but still does go down. And All Gamers are relying on Do to make something impossible happen. A 1v4 just not on the cards. It's starting to heat up a little bit for Imperial now.
I mean, yeah, I'd say so. They're up to 5 in a row here. I mean, at this point, All Gamers, they're the team looking like they're struggling in this first map, which was their pick. So I'm actually curious to know why they wanted to play this map. They don't seem to have a whole lot working in their favor so far on it. They've tried to be aggressive. It hasn't worked. And again, they're getting shut down left and right here. Adrian gets the opening pick. It's already a 5-on-4. And really, Imperial, they haven't done anything drastically different in this round. They've got 3 towards B long, 2 holding on to mid, and All Gamers continues to play into their hand.
Yep. You did have to question it a bit when Ankara was open. And we just know how strong all gamers are on that map. Kind of made sense though. We could understand it before going into it, but after now having seen it, it's not looking good at all for all gamers. Even has struck back with a quick two-piece for himself, but that is still not going to be enough to bring it back into the favor of all gamers. And one more time, it's due. Quick shot onto Ryu Zhao, though his position now known means the C4 is going to be able to hightail it into B. The plant will go down, and he has to convert this 2-on-1 to really keep all gamers in this map.
This is not going to be easy. Dude's been left in this spot so many times, and we know that he's not necessarily the big clutch player. He's also got an M4 in this case, trying to attack at the B site by himself. Not a bad choice in that case, but now a big ask from him. He gets Fefe, or rather Gokun, takes him pretty low. Fefe also has to back away. There's still a lot of time. Dude came in here pretty early, trying to get the read on where Fefe is in the smoke, and he is going to get the jump on him and will get that shot down. Nicely done by Du.
Ooh, not over yet.
Yeah, that's a big round to steal away. Not only do they get the round, it's in a 1v3 fashion, which kind of kills that momentum and can probably cause a little bit of frustration for Imperial here as well. You can see in the replay, beautiful double kill to open up that last round and really get the ball rolling. Imperial, they had all of the advantage going into the 3-on-1, but Du really making sure he can find that impact for the side of all gamers to kind of keep themselves alive in this one. It had been a while since they won a round. They lost 5 in a row, so really a nice way to turn the tide here.
Yeah, but he's still asking them to claw this one back on the GR side, which is obviously not the favorable side on this map. So it's going to continue to be a bit of a tall order for all gamers. Imperial, same setup again. Default setup, patient. Gokun watching A long. Seems to be a go-to for Imperial while they think about things. Wait for maybe a bit of aggression from all gamers. Again, you do have a lot of time in Crossfire. Like 2.5-minute rounds is a huge amount to play with. So no need to do anything too quickly.
Yeah, CY also covering over here. I mean, it's a pretty passive setup from the side of all gamers as well. Just waiting for the push, not wanting to push into Imperial, who have already shown that they are willing to wait out the timer. Smoke's now raining onto the A site, as well as a couple of flashes. They do push through mid and through long. Spray here from even not great Betway is in position inside the building. He's not going to get that kill, but ZQ and Du will get one apiece, trying to hold on to the site. Du is going to get isolated, though, as Ryu Zhao does take over the site. Now it's a one-on-one. Ryu Zhao versus ZQ.
Ryu Zhao's got the bomb, but he's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to risk planting it if ZQ is trying to sneak up. He did spot him there again on the staircase, so he knows ZQ's playing this position. But the problem is, if Ryu Zhao runs the clock down too low without taking the fight, it's a guaranteed kill for AG on the plant. So now he wants to take the fight to him, but neither player able to connect in that exchange. Now Ryu Zhao, he's got no HP to work with, doesn't matter. Swings for the tap, and that is a massive round for Imperial.
Yeah, very big one. I mean, Ryu Zhao's always been a clutch player. We talked about him so many times in Vietnam when he was left in the 1vX. It felt like he almost always won it. And there's another really good example of it in a massive moment for Imperial. 8-5, they maintain that momentum. Look at that, 5 in a row.
Yeah.
But 6 of the last 7.
And you talk about Ryu Zhao in clutch situations, Gokun as well. Ryu Zhao actually highest ADR as well, on top of everything else. So definitely up there, helping to carry the team in many different facets. And Imperial, they come out here and they really impress on this map that I was not expecting to go in this way. Also, just the composure, just playing every round like it truly matters and taking a lot of these blacklist rounds extremely slowly and really trying to control the pace and the tempo and make it theirs. And you can see that all gamers are not very comfortable with this. They don't feel like they're handling this kind of play very well.
Well, is tonight the night for Imperial? And the implications of what that would mean for the playoffs as well would be pretty spicy. We might get to see all gamers against Baisha or X-Rock a little earlier than anticipated, which is not something any of the Chinese fans would like to see. Shui, though, He's not prepared to go down without a fight as he catches Ryu Zhao. ZY also spotting out LKK with that orb. And it does seem as though all gamers are not done yet. I mean, this is not going to be an easy map to win for Imperial, no doubt about it, but especially when the C4 has been lost right in the midst of all gamers.
You can see Adrian here. He wants to take this fight onto the GR spawn. There is one player waiting for him. ZQ just holding this corner. They've got 40 seconds, and they've got to move in. This is going to be a key fight. ZQ wins it. And now Gokun is left alone, 1 versus 3. The C4 down in front of the GR spawn. He has to go in guns blazing and really just hope for the best here, but there's just no time to make this happen. ZQ hops out in front of him. Nobody actually playing on this bomb too makes it even more dangerous for Gokun to move in and pick it up, but with only 15 seconds, he basically has to go back to his B bomb site, but he gets the shot onto ZQ. He's running at this player on A, though he has no idea Du's in the corner, and that will be the round for all gamers.
Yeah, once it was Gokun left alone, was never really going to have a chance, maybe like a 5%er on that one. Just getting surrounded from so many different ways. He can't check every corner with such low amounts of time. 8-6. Still feels like Imperial should be able to run away with this map from the Blacklist side, but all gamers, they're not going away easily. A lot of these rounds are at least somewhat competitive. That one in favor of all gamers. So not ready to call this one done and dusted just yet.
No siree. Is it another OT? I mean, that's definitely on the cards here as well. All gamers losing the OT against LCK. Oh, how is that miss? I have no idea, but ZY still gets the job done with a pistol. Nade in, doesn't quite manage to clean up Feifei, but Even will find him anyway. And he's gone for another one as well. So it's starting to shape up a little bit now for all gamers. They're looking a little better in the last couple of rounds. It'll be a good time actually for attack time out there on the behalf of Imperial. Ryu Zhao, cheeky position, does manage to catch out Du. Wasn't expecting someone that far progressed on the A site. Now for Gokun with that C4. He could really go anywhere at this point. And I like the way that AG's playing this as well, putting themselves in a position to make a play, cutting the map in half. Gokun might get one. Does he get two? If he drops the bomb, could be round over. Minute and 10 though for Ryu Zhao. Again, against Shui. Can he pull off another massive clutch for Imperial?
He's got a good advantage now in the 1v1. He's taken Shui down to half HP. However, that C4 being down is such a difficult position to recover it from. You can see Shui just trying to play with the time here. He hits the shot, and all gamers are going to take this down to just a one-round game. Imperial bring out the timeout here.
And Imperial nearly clawed that one back. It was 2v3. Rizal had a very nice forward position. Got that pick off. Gokun as well getting the drop on a one, but yeah, not a good position by any means. And even though they nearly squeaked it out, AG with 2 in a row, I believe, at least. Maybe even 3, but they are really back on the board. They are playing much better in these last couple of rounds compared to the other ones where it felt like Imperial was in total control. The slow play from Imperial not necessarily working out either. Feels like all gamers have adjusted. And now, I think it's a good time for a timeout. It is going to slow things down even further, but, you know, with all gamers finally showing some big signs of life, maybe your take, Kyle, was right in the end, right? Maybe they just wanted to start from GR because they knew AG would be a little bit slow to start and they could kind of get some momentum and try to pull it into the Blacklist side, but perhaps all gamers is now awake.
Yeah, that's what makes these last 2 rounds so difficult. They're not going to let them go down easily. They are a little bit more alive in this second half, but they're still down by 1. Gokun still hitting the shots as well. I still feel like he is kind of playing isolated in a lot of situations. Would love to see him play a little bit more aggressive with some support systems around him to ensure he is going to trade from his positions, but it's hard to say, you know, when someone has 17 or 18 kills, it's almost impossible to reel them in at times.
Seeing a lot of Ryu Zhao and Gokun still up there on that first list. Gokun has been playing this angle so many times that you really got to be careful playing with fire. Trying to throw just a nade through was CQ, I believe.
Yeah, it's like, what's the risk versus reward? The reward is you're maybe going to get 15 damage onto ADRF. The risk is Gokun pops your head off. Doesn't really feel worth it, though it doesn't blow up in All Gamers' face this time around.
Again, though, a very similar setup from Imperial. Playing that 3-2 split on to mid and B. All Gamers as well, kind of playing the same way on their end. 2 towards B, 3 towards A. Just that one solo player holding on to the push up the mid staircase, and I feel like this is a really solid setup for Imperial, kind of testing that patience for All Gamers. They've had a lot of rounds. All Gamers kind of just pushes in to this setup, but you can tell they're playing a little bit more reserved in this one, not giving up any real opportunities to be picked off just yet.
See ZY gets at least a little bit of information, some shots being fired through the smoke saying, okay, might be looking for a B swing, but Imperial stays strong. They have been going for these later pushes pretty often, so All Gamers not overreacting by any means. Still 2 guys on the A site, and it looks like that might be where Imperial have their sights set all along.
Yeah, you've got Even that has already sort of half rotated his way across, so he'll be able to assist in the defense, and there's a good shot from the Observer, showing us exactly why. He'll have some counter-util available, but most of the defense will come down to Shui, holding on to Long, and he's done a pretty good job of that. 3K coming through from him. 4 on 2 now, and Du will take the peak onto Gokun, say thank you very much. That one's been pretty easily delivered to All Gamers, and the scoreline has now equalized. It's always a competitive map between these 2 teams.
Telling you, GR signed it.
Apparently. No. Like, there's no doubt that, at least in this game, that is the case.
So far. All Gamers, just a really nice response overall. It was a little bit obvious, I do feel. You know, it's same smoke setup, same kind of timing from rounds before from Imperial for this push onto A.
Yep.
And All Gamers, I feel like they've just got the read now.
I mean, maybe Imperial have run out of ideas. Right, how deep does the strat book go on the blacklist side of this map? And another member been spotted out, ZY 1 for 1. Maybe not quite enough, but ZQ's position here is going to be so good. He lines up to 9 to 8, and all of a sudden it is All Gamers map to lose again.
Yeah, what a comeback here from All Gamers, but a lot of it comes down to, I feel like they're losing some of the fundamentals as well on the Imperial side. They're trying to do some solo aggressive plays to open up these sites, maybe get an early pick, but now All Gamers, they're just swinging right back onto them, but they're playing a little bit more patiently in these angles. They're not just, you know, swinging blindly. It's a little bit more calculated, so it's going to be a harder one to try and tie up here, but Imperial, they've still looked good in this matchup, and overtime wouldn't necessarily surprise me here, but All Gamers, they're going to play that pressure right back onto them once again, running down that clock. They're going to wait to see what Imperial will do.
I think even an overtime would be a bit of a win here for All Gamers, considering the circumstances they found themselves in. And able to grind it back. And having already secured that will be a weight off of their shoulders, though, of course, a 10 to 8 win would be more so what they're looking for.
Feel a bit for Fefe. Everybody in the servers got kind of a decent scoreline. I guess Adrian is also struggling a little bit, but yeah, it's really been kind of the Ryuzao and Gokun show on the side of Imperial as well, whereas if you look at All Gamers, everybody's kind of pulling their weight in one form or another. Sometimes in these really close situations, you got to have everybody on the same level. Of course, maybe Gokun just gets a 4K or something like that. Let's see what it's going to come down to as ZY is in position, very close up here to read this push early on.
Nice flash comes over the top from Imperial, but they're already down to less than a minute. They're going to be moving in on this B bomb site, but look at Shui here on the mid doors. Is he going to be caught? Ryuz, oh, he's not ready for it. Gets taken down right away. The C4 they've got to go back for now. Yep. Things aren't quite working out in terms of timing, and they still have 3 players on the back of this B bomb site. They're going to have to work their way through. The C4 only just now getting into the B hotel, and it's just being completely telegraphed here.
There is so much information for All Gamers with that push in through mid, and they have sent 4 players over to the B bomb site. This surely cannot go well for Imperial, but they've got no other options. They've got to make their way into the site. Lucal gets one. ADRF will be traded back on down, and ZQ wants to finish it right here, right now. It's 10-8 for all gamers. What a comeback.